Welcome to Reverse Engineering News. I'm your host, Hash, and a while back I thought, there ought to be a Reverse Engineering News channel. There also ought to be a Game Boy Interceptor cartridge, and perhaps a talk at the 37 Chaos Communication Congress about how it works. As a matter of fact, there was. It's a great 1-hour talk that goes into how this Game Boy Interceptor, which sits between a Game Boy and a cartridge, works. There's a ton of information about how the Game Boy was reverse engineered, how the protocol work was done, and then how this interceptor board was designed. It uses a very basic Raspberry Pi 2040 microcontroller to sniff the bus between the Game Boy and the cartridge, just passively. The Game Boy isn't aware that this thing is there. Now, what's so amazing about this interceptor cartridge is that it's not just intercepting, like, say, between a computer and a monitor, where you're going to sniff, say, the HDMI traffic or something else like that, where you're trying to get what's going to the display. What this is sniffing is the traffic between the processor and the cartridge, which is not the same as what's going on the display. That's stored in a spot called the VRAM inside the Game Boy. Now, what he has to do is rebuild the data that would be on the display based on what the processor is accessing in the cartridge and what the whole community knows about emulating Game Boys. He then presents this data, this reconstructed screen, as a USB camera that you can plug into any device, just about. Now, after watching this talk, I had to see, who is this guy that did this work? Because he really just digs down. And I think all of us that, that really like to work on something, that resonates. And so I was like, I got to know about this guy. His name is Sebastian Stacks. And I think, like a lot of us, he's got a day job, and maybe that day job isn't so challenging. And so on nights and weekends, you look to find other things you can do that really kind of exercise the mind or give you these other little side quests. Now, Sebastian happens to be a PhD physicist. So I think his day job is pretty challenging. So that gives me hope because, I can let the wife know that there is no chance that the hobbies will ever go away. Because even if I kind of reach the top of the nerddom, it doesn't seem to matter. You're still going to work on hobbies and create crazy things. Now, he's got a YouTube channel called There Ought to Be and a blog also by the same name. If you aren't subscribed to this or you haven't seen it lately, definitely both are worth going to check out right now. His videos are great because they kind of give you a good summary of the work he's done. They're not long explainer videos. He's really kind of highlighting the work, and it's almost like a marketing teaser, because then when you go over to his blog, you really get a lot of detail. I mean, if you want to recreate some of these things, you can. He's got something like a LED cube on there, which is really cool. I mean, I was late at night reading, I almost impulse bought a ton of frickin' LED panels from AliExpress or whatever. I probably will still do that. But I managed to fight that impulse for that night. And also a wooden Game Boy case that he made. Just a bunch of really interesting projects. Great video work highlighting what he's doing. And an awesome blog explaining all of it. So, if you have a hankering to make something, definitely go check it out. It'll inspire you to make who knows what. I mean, I got a LED sign I bought and stuck up in my garage. That probably was partly inspired by just seeing what he was doing. I was like, I got to go out there and do something. Now, he also created an application a while back called FiFox, or maybe FiFox, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It lets you access your smartphone's sensors kind of directly. And so he wrote it, and I think him and some other people, but I'll just mention him right now, to assist, with learning physics, for kids to learn physics and people to learn, physics in school, because there's so many sensors that are in modern smartphones now that you can do a lot of really interesting experiments, just with what everybody has in their pocket already. One thing I thought was pretty interesting was the ability to measure an inductor using the sensors that are in the phone. So there's a paper that's written, and it's not high-speed inductor measurement, but it lets you see the changing magnetic field. That's a pretty awesome thing and an awesome application that he created. Now, a couple years back, I thought, there ought to be a wiki, a reverse engineering wiki, where people could go and share what they're working on and put it up somewhere so that we can all find it and access it. The thing I found that was challenging is a lot of people work on reverse engineering various things, but they kind of end up lost in various places or hard to find. And so even if you just create a page and link back to your page, it's nice to have one spot, the RECESSIM Wiki, where we can go and see what's going on out there. So it doesn't have to all be on the wiki, but it's nice as a hub if you have something you're working on to link back to it from there. Now like and subscribe, share this video, get the counters up in the garage to move up there a little bit. Join us on Discord if you have projects you want to work on, people you want to chat with. There's a lot of people of various backgrounds in the RECESSIM Discord. And so, if you have a question about something or you just want to share what you're working on, come hang out with us. Now I'll leave you with a quote, and I'll see you next week.